feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Love is life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Mm.
Peace in
I forgot
paradise.
to turn the calendar. Thank you.
To
I
all.
got one turn in the room.
Yes. Peace in paradise to all.
Oh, yes.
All love.
Mm-hmm.
All love and goodwill.
Hope all is well
Mm-hmm.
and happy. The lesson we studied is about happy.
It reaches to themselves.
Look at
It should be nothing but glory and glorification.
now, heaven Allah. Mm-hmm.
Because only the ones who dedicated will fully see.
There you go, brother.
You can't go half of the way and think you all the way there.
Mm-hmm.
Can't plan a trip and go half of the way and say you've been all the way.
Beautiful.
So it's a beautiful thing
Mm-hmm.
for dedication to see what's fully on the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's very important that we understand what gave birth to life because we seem to take life for granted
Yes.
and that it's our very own.
Mm-hmm.
This was, is, and evermore to be a gift.
Beautiful.
Life is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to open up in the name of the divine creator, Al-Sufian.
Oh, how sweet it is.
This is the way,
Mm-hmm.
the one way, the true way of the divine creator of all things. We have to understand how we get life. Everything in existence.
Yeah.
We're talking everything comes. We have to understand the unity that gave birth to life. Mm-hmm. Yes, we're gonna read a little super, because we need to learn just a little bit
Oh, yes.
about this beautifulness.
Yes, indeed. Of somebody is all complex.
Because they done gave the glory to fictional characters.
Yes. Someone been listening to the wrong people.
Yes. So unity, as the Sufian speaks in Sufa 28:13. When we speaking of unity, 13, thus where spirit joins flesh
Ooh,
and life flows.
beautiful.
Where spirit joins
Beautiful.
and life.
Mhm.
So that's our word of the day.
Ain't that beautiful? Where life flow. Mm.
This life that's flowing, it was produced by, and this is what we want to understand. So we can apply this knowledge and be able to live the best and fullest of our potential. Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about, what you just said.
With spirit joining matter, this created a one-to-one. spirit joining matter made life flow. Life is a co-creation from matter and spirit joining.
Beautiful.
When two things join to create, that's called unity. So within that unity, this is where we get our two understandings. And this is the basic where we want to start off, understanding unity. And this truth has never been deleted. This truth has always been as ancient as truth is. These two understandings is what brings about a unity that we call self. Without spirit joining matter, we wouldn't be able to witness what we have today called life. So this is the science of how life was produced. Life was birthed into existence. And we have to understand this is where we use terms as the creator. Anything that co-creates or becomes conscious is produced by two or more things. So the simple is one and the complex is the other. So this is where they have used other terminologies to describe these understandings, these two understandings. And most relatable term, we has heard it as God and the devil.
Yeah.
Before the myth was created of the God and the devil, truth as it was, truth as it is, and truth as it ever should be, is that there are two understandings. And this comes from the spirit and the matter. And this creates the two understandings of the higher and the lower self. So we must understand the higher and the lower self. Just like spirit and matter joins and life flows, when the higher self and the lower self joins, life flows. If you have life today, meaning you can see, hear, taste, touch, and use your five senses and all above, then you have something called life. And life is made up of two substances combined as one. And this is called self. And self is made of two understandings, the higher self and the lower self. And once every mind wrap their understanding around self-knowledge, then the mind can learn what it is. This is how we get from these two understandings, is how we get all numbers that we ever can imagine. As the Sufian says, real numbers and spiritual numbers. So the higher self is known as our real self. That's the real deal. The lower self is what we have known in modern term as the ego. In ancient times, this was known as unity. This wasn't a competing affair, nor was it a competition of one against the other. This all became about with the spelling from other false texts that came and said the spirit war after the flesh, and the flesh war against the spirit. These things is creating a conflict. There's no conflict in unity. I hope that is crystal watery clear. There's no conflict in unity. So we want to get a little more understanding and the lower self understanding. And it's going to be short and sweet. All you got to do is, all this requires is your mind. So you can pick up the knowledge of self. The higher self is Allah in man. Whatever term you want to use as the name of your creator that represents the identity of what you associate with. Whatever that is, that's the higher self in man. The higher self is human spirit. We want to catch that real close. Not the human mind, not the human body, but the human spirit. Spirit man. The spirit in man. The human spirit close. Made in the form of Allah. So higher self is made in the form of Allah. This is self-knowledge. The higher self is the embodiment. This human spirit, clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah, is the embodiment of truth. See, this is all we need to know when it comes to self-knowledge.
That's right. It don't get no sweeter and clearer than just the way you put it.
This is higher than your PhD.
Yes, indeed.
This is the greatest science of all sciences. This is the attainment of a happiness above all happiness. Now, when we understand the lower self, we're going to see why. The lower self is an illusion. This is what we have to call what's illusion is imaginary.
No wonder so much zigzag.
Yes, the lower self is imaginary. Now, this is you're gonna get this in no school, elementary, university.
No.
This is self-knowledge. You can only get it from self. A book can't teach this. A professor can't lecture on this. This is self-contained.
gotta be, and it is.
Hey, this is that you just said the greatest wisdom. You gotta be, and it is.
If you don't mind, because you're stirring me up over here.
The lower self is an illusion.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Yeah. Well, we see with the illusion that we've been through with, in the traps that we fall in when we think we got it all figured out,
Mm-hmm.
something goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now you done had the time to think over, and it still don't come out right. What would that be? We talking about truth now. That's all. And all of us know experience that. When flesh and matter come together, is that beautiful just to hear that and think on that? When life starts flowing, all I could think was the beauty of that song as you were speaking. My mind was just so many beautiful places. And I'm just live just a little bit more crystal.
Mm-hmm. That's what we want. That's what self. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And wolves try to dress up in sheep clothing, as the fairy tale would say.
That's right.
See, when the lower self will try to play as the higher self.
Yeah. Camouflage.
Camouflage. And so this spirit, now when we was talking about the unity,
Yeah.
the higher self is the spirit.
Yeah.
The lower self is the matter. And all matter will pass away.
That's right.
The bag will come empty.
Yeah. Yeah, sure is. And we could bear witness because we see people have come and gone.
Yes.
Not their will, but somebody else's will.
Mm.
Because if it was their will, then they would still be present.
So that'll begin our understanding of the unity of life.
What number super that was?
That was out of the Circle 7 Super 3.
Super 3.
Mm-hmm.
First birth. Super 3.
Yep, 6, 8, and 9.
Super 3, 6, 8, and 9.
8 and 9.
8 and 9.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. See, this understanding is what is so magnificent. This is the first thing to thought. This is the first thing to know, and this is the only thing to think. These are the first thinking principles to how to think and understand correct knowledge, education, knowledge. We will know how to think. Without self-knowledge, then we're going to fall victim to our own lower self, which is higher self. Lower self can fall in illusion within illusion within illusion.
That's correct. And when you don't know, it can be nothing but illusion after illusion.
That's the opposite of knowing. We don't have knowledge and we have ignorance. And this is what the lower self loves. is ignorant. Pass away. So we have to understand the body doesn't think. Bones don't reason. So the lower self, that which thinks, is the real deal. And we're going to get more into that when we dive into our special instructions.
Yes, indeed.
Instruction 16.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all don't mind. I love to
Oh, that would be love.
If y'all don't mind.
That would be love. Mm-hmm.
16. Special instruction. I like. It's something about that topic I like. It says special.
Special instruction.
As Kabbalah says, 18.1, you can recite and discuss scriptures, but until you drop everything, you will never know truth.
Mm-hmm. That's talking to us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, think about this. How many scriptures have you heard?
Mm-hmm.
You can witness to this. I know I can. See, I've heard many scriptures and recite in my time. But just say you can recite it all you want. It's letting us know something. But until, he said, but until you drop everything, what should come to mind on that? All your activities that you're involved in, what you're doing, and anything pertaining to how yourself, of all of it on the down. 16.2 says you can enjoy and work and meditate, but you will still yearn for that which is beyond all experience, and in which all desires are extinguished. Can you imagine reaching that point now where you don't have to want no more?
That's the point of self-knowledge. It's the pinnacle of wisdom here.
That's what we're talking about. That be said beyond all experience.
Beyond.
Boy,
Beyond.
you hearing about the word afterlife?
It's what we all about. Life beyond.
That's right. That's why I don't have much to offer on this side, because I know whatever I build up on this side, I can't take it back. And ain't no use for wasting a whole lot of time building that up when it's obsolete. So I'm building on stuff that would take them about like how NASA trying to get a rocket and go to, I'm trying to get this rocket where I can rocket beyond. He said everyone is miserable because they exert constant effort But no one understands this.
Understand.
See what I'm talking about everything and everything fail. We were talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is.
See,
That's
understanding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See.
One who does not understand.
Mm-hmm.
For if they understood, they wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm. We sure have to be careful of the things we do because it could be harmful to our soul and our spirit in the day. See, as a right mind can become unshackled upon hearing this one instruction. This question today on internet land, those who listen today. Are your mind shackled? Are you caught in a trap and can't set a right mind?
It's a higher mind.
Yeah. You know how you feel good. You're waiting on it until it reaches peak. And you want to get it.
Yeah. Low tilted fruit.
Right on, brother. This thing.
You don't want the ground fruit. That done fell on the ground. You don't want the ground.
But there's a certain instruction they talking about here.
Because
Because see, a lot of people,
special.
a special instruction, not real instructional things that I brought, a purchase.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't much that you can obtain that don't come. Top of the line should be the top of the chapter.
Mm-hmm. This wisdom here says one is
Yeah.
this is self-knowledge.
Yeah.
Beyond sciences of lower mind.
Yes.
The higher mind science.
Yes, it did.
Exerting constant effort.
Exerting.
This is what the lower self always doing.
Yeah.
Constant effort, adding misery upon misery.
And you can ask this question to those who already have the instruction. Are they good to go? With no problem. Nothing but joy. One instruction. 16.4. The master idler, every blinking is a bother, is happy. But he is the only 16.5. And the mind is free of opposition. This is done, and this is yet undone. One become indifferent to merit, wealth, pleasure, and liberation.
right? When the mind is free of opposites, when there's no more dangling particles.
Yeah.
Free when the mind is free.
Yeah.
Nothing dangling.
Yeah. Yes,
We talk
a lot of stuff dangling all around in the mind. A ball basket on the coat, bouncing on the coat. A basketball. It said merit, wealth, pleasure, and liberation. $16.6. One who abhors since object avoid, one who desires them becomes ensnared. One who neither abhor nor desires is neither detached nor attached. It's time for self to take control and nothing else. It's time for self to be conscious. And when you conscious, and you mentioned what it said about awakening, then you know. We all should be gonna learn something by now. You don't know the minute or the time or the hour, then you might take your last breath. 16.7. There is desire, which is the absence of discrimination. There will be attachment and non-attachment. This is the cause of the world. In today's society, look what it has to offer. It's it's a 10,000 things to and to volunteer and participate in. Oh, they got a lot of every category waiting on you. This is attachment. It's all about discrimination. How many times we said, and we say and come to unity when we was put together as unity, but we don't know what you, which you explained that earlier. It didn't get no clearer than that. You have it in the palm of your hand. 16.8. Indulgency creates attachment. See what happened that quick? You associate yourself with what? This indulgent, that indulgent. What you're creating? Attachment. creating trouble. We'll put it that way. You might not come. Aversion creates the abstinence. Aversion, avert. Like the sage is free of both and thirst live on as a child. 16.9. One who is attached to the world thinks leave his misery. One who is attached to nothing is free and does not feel miserable, even in the world. Sixteen ten. He who claims liberation as his own, as an attainment of a person, is neither enlightened nor a seeker. His own misery. 16.11. Dohara and Hari are the lotus born Brahma himself. Instruct you until you know nothing, you will never know self. Mm.
This is the special instruction.
Mm.
To have self-knowledge, you must know nothing. This is how we find out what self is.
Mm.
Mhm. This is why self-knowledge is the highest of all knowledge. Because this is how you to eternity, immortality.
Mhm.
A,
Yeah.
the higher self. This is the only way the higher self
Mm.
within the unity. This is where all life comes from.
Mm.
So we have to get all the life out. We have to get all life out with these two cells. We have to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. After hearing this about yourself, seems like one would just want to see the difference in the high and the low. You see, you would think as though that they will want to be more into the higher self, constantly more. then the lower self, we see the difference. We see where the peace of mind, we see where the goodness gonna be, where it resides at. And learning this, it should be the way you want to be.
See, and that's the hardest thing. That's why we heard about the wealthy man. Hey, but when it came to giving his possessions out, he couldn't.
Yeah, all this gotta go.
Yes, he couldn't know
Yeah,
the
yeah,
higher self.
yeah,
And the saying about it's too much baggage.
yeah,
The the rich man weighed down
yeah. You showed me that.
to get into
Yeah,
heaven.
all this money got him way down. More money, more weight.
Can he become like this, the no self?
Look at that.
As so long.
Yeah,
Self now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Wait a minute.
Hey, take that as money. Without money, take that as death.
Well, when you stop and think about it, when you stop and think about what you just said, you know, when you think about the ones who got plenty of money, honey, they ain't giving you nothing. He ain't giving up his wealth. So like people say, hey man, let me throw you a little something because I got plenty, man. You my best friend, and I want to see you happy too, because this what makes me happy is my money. So I want to let you be happy for a little while yourself. Huh? I mean, this is so true because there ain't nobody giving up nothing.
And they gonna pour it into self.
Is anybody saying K.O.S. anything for the good news? Or maybe it's just been poor folks listening to K.O.S.
Until they never know KOS.
uh,
We pouring into the lower self.
yep.
We keep exerting all our energy. That's what the water is, our energy. We keep pouring into the lower self. As it says, that's attaching.
Mm. Yep.
If you want to be free, then you can't be in it and pure.
Yeah.
So that's a major instruction for all of us. Because if we really think about it, that's what death is.
Yeah.
It's taking away what's in the cup.
That's right. That's correct. That's correct.
So now it's showing you who you really are.
There you go. We running around here running over. We don't have the power we think we have.
Mm.
Mm.
Yep. Now if one ignorant, now that's how they steal our mind. Yeah. Selling it benefits and privileges take away.
Yeah.
Remember, illusions pass away.
Mm.
So it ain't gonna stay. Even though the lower self promises, if we don't have self-knowledge, then we're gonna fall into lower self-trap.
That's right.
Deal. It was not in. Because that
Yeah.
when itself in a situation that it don't want to be
in. Yeah, just like you done been in trouble and I got stopped.
With that lower self there. Now you know the real deal. See, this is what it means. We got to become opposite.
Yeah.
The point that we're neither the one in jail or the one that can be jailed.
Yeah.
That's a stigma right there. The lower self can be.
The case in that. So when the Democratic Party and Republican Party want us to join them, we join an attachment, we join in trouble.
Something imagine. Just like his book.
So you're a concept that you want to be part of.
Right. That's what our people bid into. The imaginary. Our people bid into the imaginary God. Well,
they want to join a party.
Right, where you just sit back. God take care of everything. Yeah. This is the lower self falling into the trap by our lower self. See, this is what we have to understand when we are ignorant.
Yes, indeed.
It turns into voting. It turns into worshiping imaginary things by false names and fictional characters. All created by the lower self.
Yeah.
Self wasn't born with it, is what we're trying to say.
That's correct. And now they got what they use a word. It's amazing how that you could take a word and make it a big old structure. Use the word government and big old structure. And now to govern us and tell us what to do.
How they think about a plan. How can we get them to conform to what they want us to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And leadership become lost. If the pastor ain't preaching self-knowledge,
that's right.
Then that's poor leadership. That means he don't know what his leader is, the higher self or the lower self.
Well,
so he don't know what his leader is. So if you got a higher self and a lower self and you don't know who the leader is, how can you lead them astray?
And that's what we have. When we look at the so-called black man today, you see fallen man because never leading you ain't to the right place. Or whatever you've been listening to, look what a mess we have
going on.
And all you see is high prices, starvation, and you ain't in control of none of it. But someone else is in control of it and running the prices up. What you gonna do about it?
See, and that's what they mean by capitalism. They capitate the self. Remember the cap going ahead. Capitalism is to take the higher self away.
That's correct.
And now decapitate, and now all you have is the lower self.
Yep.
And the lower self needs a pattern.
Yeah.
To live its life.
Yeah.
And if its higher self is gone, it don't have a pattern to live by, and the lower self loves to follow.
That's right.
And not the lead. The higher self is always the leader.
There you go. He's
the
self-control.
The divine creator is always divine. they've been able to give us these myths
Yeah.
called God and devil. When these two go together as two separate entities, but they're in one book.
Yeah.
This is to take you away from the self-knowledge of your higher self and lower self, the unity of life.
Yes.
So now we have to understand the lower self is imaginary.
Yeah.
These myths that was given to us of these gods is made of air.
Yeah.
They completely imaginary. The book gods.
Yeah.
They completely in a book. You don't come aware of them unless you go in a book. You aware of yourself without a book.
Without picking up the book. It's just amazing.
If for God got to be known by you going into a book,
Yeah.
that's not God.
Mm.
That's an imaginary God. We talking about the real deal.
Yeah, the real deal.
Not no spookism.
Yeah.
If anything got to come back 2,000 years and you back already, you the real deal.
Yeah. That's another thing. What if we don't come back? We just say, well, because the time that he's been gone, ain't nobody seen it. Let's think about that. Think on that a little bit.
This is what knowledge is, the
So
higher
what you
self.
waiting on?
Mm-hmm.
So what you waiting on?
See, and that's it. The lower self will be waiting on the imaginary God because the lower self itself is imaginary.
There you go.
So that was our special instructions.
Well, I hope they got it. They received it.
17. The true holy.
Uh-oh, real deal.
17.1. One that of building, who is content, purified, attached, and at home in solitude. 17.2. The knower of truth is invisible in the world, for the whole universe is filled with himself alone. 17.3. As the foliage of the neem tree.
Yeah, I just don't need more. They get the neem more from the neem tree.
Does not please his other things, and so do sense objects not even devices itself.
Sense.
17.4. Rare in the world is one who does not relish past enjoyments, nor yearn for enjoyments to come. 17.5. Those who desire pleasure and those who desire liberation are both common in the world. Rare is the great soul who desires neither enjoyment nor liberation. 17.6. Rare is the right-minded person who neither covets nor shuns division, wealth, pleasure, life, or death. 17.7. The man knowledge for the universe nor desires its dissolution. Even on whatever comes his way, he is blessed. 17.8. Knowing self, mind empty and at peace, sage lives happily, seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating.
Who's listening to you talking about?
Mm-hmm. He knows self. He ain't got to imagine.
Look at that
Yes. His mind. Knowing self, the mind is empty. At peace. That's our salon.
It is. It is our salon.
17.9. There is no attachment nor non-attachment for one in whom the ocean of the world has dried up. His look is vacant, his sense is still, his actions have no purpose. You start to place things on it, like it is something bad, like this is like adding one part to it that's gonna not be beneficial to your existence. Just enjoy it. 17.10. The sage is neither asleep nor awake. Closes or opens his eyes. Thus, for the liberated soul, everywhere there is only this. 17.11. The liberated soul abides in self-knowing and is pure of heart. He lives always and everywhere free of desire. 12. Seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, talking, speaking, walking, the great soul exerts neither effort nor non-effort. He is truly free. 17.13. The liberated soul does not blame or praise, give or take, rejoice or become angry. He is everywhere unattached and free. 17.40. The great soul remains poised and undisturbed, whether in the presence of a passionate woman's approach or death. He is truly free.
Ooh-wee.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes. Ooh-wee.
17.
Go throw flies in here.
17.15. The sage sees no difference between happiness and adversity and success. Everything is seen to be the same. 17.16. In the sage there is neither violence nor mercy, arrogance nor humility, anxiety nor wonder. His worldly life is exhausting. He has transcended his role as a person. 17.17. The liberated one neither avoids experience nor praises. He enjoys what comes and what does not. By states of stillness and thought, his mind is known as the absolute. 17.19. Though he may perform actions, the man of knowledge does not act. Desires extinguish, free of thoughts of I and mine. He knows with absolute certainty. 17.20. The sage is free. His empty mind no longer projects delusion, dreams, dullness. This state is indescribable.
No longer imagining, delusions, dreaming, and all imagination.
Yep.
It's beyond the imagination.
And all that
Self-knowledge.
keep us wrapped up into something.
This is the way that man must be perfected. Man must go through all the ways of life.
Yeah.
He must pass through all the ways of life.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand this self-knowledge, or the opposite is going to happen of these texts. Not going to be free.
That's right.
Going to be caught up in desires. Going to be becoming attached. These things, if one didn't know, can be avoided.
Excuse
This was known to always be, the be always was, and that which is.
me.
This is what they have called the tree of life.
Yep.
This is what the story was of the Bible when we're talking in biblical scholarship. In biblical scholarship, you have the tree, the two trees in the garden.
Yeah.
The two trees is what represents the two selves. And that one tree leads to the knowledge of good and evil,
Yeah.
then one tree leads to eternal immortality. And so this is the higher self and the lower self, the life. So those two trees are not two separate trees in the opening of Genesis, but these are two trees that are one unit. And this is the understanding of self-knowledge. So those parables was written to give you a distinguishment, so you can have discernment. Because where there's attachment, there is no discernment. So we had to understand all these things, these stories, to illustrate to us something for us to understand. That's why I said, with all thy getting, get understanding. Understanding is the knowledge of. If we don't have knowledge of the lower self, which is the imagining powers of man himself,
Yeah.
then we're going to be crashed out. Because we don't have, we need gnosis. And this is what we must build ourselves on. Those were some good special instructions and the true Noah.
Oh, yes. True Noah.
Mm-hmm. The true Noah.
Mm-hmm. He knows just what to do.
Mm-hmm. Know exactly what to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is that knowledge. Self-knowledge was that knowledge that was talked about where it said he that is not sick don't need a physician.
There you go. There you go.
That was metaphysical parlance to get us to understand the two trees.
Yeah.
Or the two selves. Remember, as the Sufi says, that we are the tree and a branch of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Not only are you the tree, but if you notice, the tree have branches.
Mm-hmm.
This is the unity of life.
Mm-hmm.
The branches ain't on a separate tree. The branches.
Connected.
So now we understand this connection, this connectivity. This is called spiritual wisdom. When you have found the understanding of the connection of things, that's the unity. They got people spiritually fighting humans, and all of us. Only thing can put an imaginary fire out is self. One can stop yourself from imagining the imaginary fire. We have to distinguish what from what's reality. What's real? What's real? You woke up today. Spiritual wisdom is the unity of life. For wisdom speaks, for the higher self speaks out of the higher plane of life. And the lower self speaks out of the lower plane of life. Now, these just basic one-on-ones. One-on-ones is the template of self-knowledge. Self-knowledge one-on-one. There's only one wisdom. There's only one religion. There's only one creator deity. And if you don't understand that, then you don't understand self. For self is higher than the animals below. For self is higher than the angels above.
Yep.
You are a self. This is the greatest achievement to receive as a gift of life. And now, with the gift of life, you can get to know life, what life is made of. Life is made of the unity of the higher self and the lower self. Can't nothing come into the natural world without the higher self with it. The higher self and the lower self is the unity of life. Men, birds, beasts, creeping things, all these are deities made flesh. How dare anyone, how dare men kill anything?
Look good there. Mm. Mm.
All life is bound in one
What you say?
by the sweet breath. Like you say, Ilahaya.
That's sweet.
Mm-hmm. All life is bound in one.
And breath is what keeping the lines alive, everything. You have to breathe. Ain't that something? You can see it.
Mm-hmm. The universal Allah is one.
One breath for many breaths.
Like a branch, more than one. But all things, like all branches, is connected to the tree. This is the magnificent. Are you that you breathing? You bearing witness to something greater. We finna understand what As-Salam, when we say As-Salam, Salam. Peace and paradise. Peace and paradise. When you have the self-knowledge, that's what it should. We finna go into our holy instructions of peace. Our salam. 18.1. Praise peace, which is bliss, which is by nature stillness and light. Peace by nature is stillness and light. And which by its knowing reveals the world as a dream.
Dreaming of the world.
The lower self is the world. And as a dream is a part of the world, the dreaming world is both an illusion of the lower self. Peace is bliss. Peace is of the higher self. This is great. 18.2. One may enjoy the abundant pleasures of the world, but will never be happy until giving them up. Did we catch that?
Oh, yeah.
Never be happy. This is what them is saying.
What? Never be happy. No
Self will never be happy.
What did?
Will never be happy.
So that explains why can't nobody make each other happy in that so-called happy world.
Mm-hmm. The illusion. The imaginary, we keep imagining illusions. This stuff has spellbound us, where we have been captivated by false illusions, imaginary thoughts, imagining an evil act. All this is done by man's imagination alone.
Big imagination.
Man's God is his imagination. Whatever he imagines, he thinks that is real. This is why we need the two understandings. Because man identifying with that which is not self is where all the happiness,
Yep.
the moment he does it. Self needs this knowledge as man, or self needs this knowledge as woman. Because man and woman is the illusion of the world. You are human spirit, not the human man or woman. You clothed in soul, not clothed with clothes. 18.3. How can one whose innermost heart, their innermost self, has been scorched by the sun of sorrow that comes from duty, be happy until the sweet rain of torrential stillness? All these imaginings is ruining the peace. Peace is there already. But the imagination is stirred. Do not stir the imagination of the mind. Try it out, you'll see. 18.4. The universe. Now we know the universe is not so big. The universe is not so great. Actually, the universe is small. Small self. Small as the lowest. What's greater than the higher? Ain't nothing greater than the higher. The universe, your body, is but a thought. Your body is a thought. Consciousness means two substances coming to create unity. The body, thought, spirit, matter. The matter was joined by thought, and it created the matter into, and this is what we call consciousness.
Yeah.
But that illusion of activity, in reality, it is nothing. In reality, it is nothing. This is what we have to understand of the flesh and the lower self. We've been imagining through their system of imaginations.
Yeah, boy.
And now we think nothing but fear mongering, bringing fear upon the self through lack of self-knowledge. And this is the danger of imagination. One who sees the true nature of existence and non-existence never ceases to exist. Higher self teaches. We're talking about being and non-doing. Just because you're not doing it doesn't mean. Just because you're not being it doesn't mean it don't exist. And the two understandings we got to understand is existence and non-existence, which belongs to illusion. Illusions come then illusions go. They're never permanent. So only thing that's been permanent is that which remains. Since you remain. (18.5) The self, which is absolute, the self which is effortless, the self which is timeless, the self which is immaculate. There goes your immaculate conception, the virgin birth. We talking about the uncreated self, the uncreated, the virgin birth, the self without limits, not the self that's bounded with the depths of its can't stretch no farther than your limit. True self, the real deal, is invisible. It has no limit. It's boundless. Illa wasiya, the all-embracing. And the self is at no distance from you. You are self, and you are forever self. See, this is what we would have known from the real. Right off the porch, we would have known this, but they gave us these myths full of imaginary gods made of air. 18.6 For those whose vision becomes unclouded, imagination evaporates, and the self becomes known. All sorrow is instantly, like instant grits, instantly dispelled. Now, is this not omnipotence? This is the omnipotence of man. The unity of life. 18.7 Seeing everything is imagination. Self as timelessly free. The Al-Sufian lives as a child. The Illa-Sufa. This right here is where the ultimate goal is. This is the championship knowledge. 18.8 Knowing the self as absolute, knowing existence, awake, and non-existence, sleep, both to be imagination only. Catch the winds now. What is there for the desireless one, the holy one, to learn, say, or do? This is the greatest knowledge. Ain't nothing greater than the divine creator. Learn, say, do. This is the highest manifestation of wisdom, known as the tree of life. the unity of life, the two understandings of the higher and the lower and the higher self. Allah. Let's keep that. Let's keep it going. Self-knowledge. 18.9. Knowing for certain that all is self. Knowing for certain. Surety is the omnipotence that man will reach the deific life. Knowing for certain that all, Allah is all, that all, the sage has no trace of thoughts such as I am this or I am not that. Thoughts. The man, your thoughts are, your imaginations are wrong. Imagining I am this, imagining I am not that. Imagination evaporates and self is known. 18.10. The yogi who finds stillness is neither distracted nor focused. He knows neither pleasure nor pain. Ignorance dispel. He is free of knowing. 18.11. Heaven or poverty, gain or loss to the yogi, free of conditioning, there is no difference. Zero. We're talking simple mathematics. Science is one of the greatest gifts given to us by the divine creator for us to know ourselves. Imagination is imagination. There is no difference. 18.12. Religious merit, sensory pleasure, worldly prosperity, discrimination between this and that. These have no significance. To the yogi, free of opposites, such as, for example, I do this, and this I do not. That's called taking sides, switching sides. See, the straight path is not the side path. The straight path is not the path of suicide. Choosing a side leads to suicide. 18.3. The yogi who is liberated while living has no duties in this world, no attachments in his heart. His life proceeds without him. That's like when your body proceeding, your heart beating as you sleep. Life proceeding on as you sleeping on. 18.14. For the great soul, here we go, who abides beyond desire, where is imagination? Where is illusion? Where is the lower self? Where is the body? Where is meditation on the lower self? Liberation from them. Our peace. This is the first piece. 18.5. 18.15. He who sees the world may try to renounce it, but what can the desireless one do? He sees there is nothing to see. 18.16. He who has seen the supreme Brahma thinks I am Brahma, but he who has transcended all thought, what can he think? Who's no other. 18.17. He achieves self-control, who sees his own distraction. But the great soul is not distracted. He has nothing to achieve. He has nothing to do. The man of knowledge, 18.18, may live as an ordinary man, but he is not. He sees he is neither focused nor distracted, and finds no fault with himself. He is beyond existence and non-existence, 18.19, who is wise, satisfied, free of desire, does nothing, though the world may see him in motion. The wise one is not troubled by action or non-action, 18.20. He lives happily doing whatever gets done. This is a whole different, this ain't even mind state right here. This is self-knowledge. 18.21. Like a leaf in the wind, the liberated one is untethered from life, desireless, independent, free, standalone. 18.22. For one who has transcended the world, there is no joy. With a still, peaceful mind, he lives on with no body. Eternal existence. 18.23. One who knows self, whose mind is serene and spotless, does not desire to give up anything, nor does he miss what is not there. His mind being in a divine state of effectiveness. The wise one knows nothing of honor and dishonor. He does what comes to be done. The one who acts knowing this is done by the body, not by I, pure self, indeed does nothing. how much acting takes place.
Mm.
Guilty body, guilty mind. Self-knowledge, all mind and body illusions. 18.26, the liberated one acts without claiming to be acting. But he is no fool. He is blessed and happy, even though in the world, having had enough of the endless workings of the mind. 18.27, the wise one comes to peace, to rest. He neither thinks, he neither knows, he neither hears, he neither sees. Beyond stillness, beyond distraction, the great soul thinks nothing of liberation or bondage. Having seen the universe is void, even though it seems to exist. He is God. 18.29. He who believes he is a person is constantly acting, even when the body is at rest. The sage knows he is not a wise. The sage knows he is not a person, and therefore does nothing, even when the body is in motion. Deep penetration. The mind of the liberated one is neither troubled nor pleased. It is actionless, motionless, and desireless, and free of doubt. The liberated one does not exert effort to meditate or act. Action and meditation just happen. '18. Now, us all hearing ultimate truth. As we said, truth will make you free. As us hearing ultimate truth, witted man is bewildered. The wise man hearing truth and appears 18.33. The ignorant practice meditation and no thought. The wise, like men in deep sleep. The 18.34. The ignorant man finds no peace or none. Lower self finds no peace. See, these things the lower self cannot understand. Has no understanding. The ignorant, the lower self finds no peace either by effort or non-effort. The wise man, by truth alone, is still. By law alone is 18.35. Though they are by nature self alone, pure purity, love, and perfection, though they transcend the universe itself, men of the world is through meditation and practices. The ignorant man will never be liberated by his repetitious practices. Blessed is he who, by simple understanding, enters timeless freedom, because he desires to know God. The ignorant man can never become God. The wise man is God, because he is free of desire and knows nothing. Unable to stand steady and eager for salvation, the ignorant perpetuate the illusion of world, seeing the world as the source of all misery. The wise cut it off at the root. (18.39). The fool thinks peace comes by controlling the mind. He will never attain it. The wise one knows truth and is stillness itself. I hope that rings, because it's told if you want to be free, you got to know the truth.
Yeah.
Not know your mind.
Mm-hmm.
We talking about self-knowledge, the holy breath.
Mm-hmm.
Switch it up right quick. The holy breath.
And what it's saying about controlling the mind, we got people who want to control your mind. Like you don't have your own mind.
When man has conquered every mind upon the plane of mind, the seed, the self, will have forward opened out and will have folded in the holy breath. Teach that the holy breath will make them one again, will make them self again, restoring harmony and peace. The holy breath is truth. The holy breath is truth. Is that which was and is and evermore shall be. The holy breath cannot change, nor can the holy breath pass away. See, we must know about the breath in the holy breath. The wise one knows the self, the truth, the holy breath. And this is the knowledge that you attain when you know as this is the wisdom of all wisdom. This is the most spiritual wisdom of all wisdom. Is not to worship Allah. Allah is the light you must attain. Allah is the light you must attain. This is the truth you must attain. (18.40). For he who thinks knowledge is things and thoughts, how can there be self-knowledge? Question mark. The wise do not see separate things. The wise only see the timeless. Tries to control the mind with the mind. What foolishness! What folly! What folly to the Holy One? You get to the one with the one. That's like trying to fix your thinking with thinking. There is no mind. The wise one delights in self alone. The wise one delights in self alone. There is no mind to master. There is no illusion to master. There is no lower self to master. Some believe in existence, 18.42. Others believe nothing exists. Rare is the one who believes nothing and is never confused. Weak intellectuals may believe the self is one without other, but being mired in illusion, they do not actually know self, so live in misery. Higher self, lower self, the unity of life. The mind of one seeking liberation depends on things for perception. The mind of the liberated one perceives no thing, no thing, and is free of desire. 18.45. Timid men fear sensory experience much as they do tigers. They seek refuge in caves and try to unthink the world. Sensory experiences, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, are like elephants who, upon encountering our desireless man, see him as a lion. They immediately turn on their heels. Or if unable to escape, stay on to flatter and serve. A man 18.47 who knows only self has no need of practice or liberation. Seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, he lives as he is, happily. One whose mind is empty and unconflicted by the mere hearing of truth, sees nothing to do, nothing to avoid, nothing to warrant his indifference. The sage does whatever appears to be done without thinking of good and without thinking of bad. His actions are those of a child. Depending on nothing, one finds happiness. Depending on nothing, one attains the supreme wisdom. Depending on nothing, one passes through tranquility, peace to oneself. When one passes, he is neither the actor nor the one who watches. The mind storm is still. The actions of the sage, free of pretense and motive, shine like clear light. Not so those of the deluded seeker who affects a peaceful demeanor, firmly attached, unbounded, unfettered, untethered from the projections of the mind. The wise are free to play and enjoy, or retire to mountain caves. You find all your prophets going to the mountain, or going to the wilderness, or going to be alone.
Yeah.
18.54. Whether honoring a spiritual scholar, a god or holy shrine, whether a desirable woman, a king or beloved friend, the heart of the sage is unmoved. Though his servants, sons, wives, daughters, grandchildren, and all his relatives ridicule and despise him, the yogi is undismayed. Though pleased, he is not pleasure. Though pain, he does not suffer. This wonderful state is understood only by those like him. The belief in duty creates a relative world for its performance. The wise one knows himself to be formless, timeless, all pervasive, immaculate, and thus transcends duty and word. Even doing nothing, the dull one is ancient and distracted. Even amidst great action, the wise one remains still. Even in practical life, the wise one remains happy. Even in actual life, happy to sit, happy to sleep, happy to move about, happy to speak, happy to eat. Yes, because he knows self. The wise one is not disrupted by actual life. He is deep and still, like a vast lake. He is not like ordinary people. His sorrows have vanished. For the deluded one, even rest is an activity. Even peace is an activity. For the wise, even action bears the fruit of stillness. The deluded one is often adverse to the things of his life. To one with no thoughtful body attachment and aversion have no meaning. The deluded mind is caught up in thinking and not thinking. Though the mind of the wise one may think what thoughts come, he is not aware of it. The sage sees nothing being done even when performed by his own hands. Like a child, he is pure and acts without reason. Blessed indeed is he who knows self. Through those seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, and eating, he never desires nor changes. For one who is void and changeless, where is the world and its imaginings? Where is the end? Question mark. Where is the possibility of peace? Question mark. Glorious indeed is he who, free of desire, embodies peace as bliss itself. He has become absorbed in self. In short, the great soul who has realized truth is free of desire, enjoyment, and liberation. In all space and time, he is attached to nothing. What remains for one who is consciousness of self, who sees the non-existence of the physical world created by the mere thought of a name, question mark. Peace is natural for one who knows for certain nothing exists, who sees appearances as imaginations, to whom the inexpressible is apparent. Rules of conduct, detachment, renunciation, asceticism. What are these to one who sees the unreality of things, who is the light of awareness? Question mark. How can there be joy or sorrow, bondage or liberation for one who perceives non existence and lights the infinite until self realization illusion wins? The sage lives without thoughts of I or mine. His connection to illusion is severed. What is knowledge? Question mark. What is the universe? Question mark. What are thoughts like I am the body? The body is mine. The sage is imperishable and deathless and sorrowless. He is self alone. When a weak man gives up meditation, he falls prey to whims and desires. For hearing truth, the man of dull intellect holds on to illusion. Through effort and suppression, he may appear outwardly composed, but inside he craves the world. Though others may see him working, the sage does nothing. Knowledge has banished effort. He finds no reason to do or say. The sage is fearless, unassailable. No darkness, no light. Nothing to lose. Nothing. Patience, discrimination, even fearlessness. What use are these to the yogi? His nature cannot be described. He is not a person. No heaven, no hell, no liberation for the living. In short, consciousness is void. What more can be said? The sage neither yearns for fulfillment nor frets over non attainment. His mind is cool and brimming with sweetness. Detached from desire, the sage neither praises peace nor blames the wicked, equally content in happiness and misery. He would not change a thing. The sage neither rejects the world nor desires self. He is free of joy and sorrow. He does not live and cannot die. The wise one lives without hope. He has no attachment to his children, wife, or anyone. Pleasure means nothing to him. His life is glorious. The sage wanders about as he pleases on whatever contentment ever dwells in his heart. And when the sun sets, he rests where he is, rooted in being, no thought of being born or reborn again. The great soul is indifferent to the death or birth of a body. The wise one stands alone, caring for nothing but bereft of possessions. He goes where he will, unhindered by opposites. He doubts, rent asunder. He is truly blessed. The wise one has no sense of mind. To him, earth, stone, and gold are the same. The knots of his heart have unraveled. He knows neither ignorance nor sorrow. He is excellent in every way. The liberated soul has no desire in his heart. He is content and indifferent. He has no equal. Only one free of desire knows nothing of knowing. Saying says nothing needs saying, sees nothing to see. He who is without desire excels, be he beggar or king. He no longer sees good or bad. What is lust or restraint, or the desire for truth? To the yogi who has reached life's goal and who embodies virtue and sincerity, the inner experience of one who is free of desire and suffering, who is content and reposes itself. How can it be described? Of whom? The wise one's state never varies. Sleeping soundly, he is not asleep. Lying in reverie, he is not dreaming. Eyes open, he is not wakeful. The man of knowledge seems to think, but has no thoughts. He seems to have sense perception, but does not experience. He seems to have intelligence, but is empty minded. He appears to be a person, but is not. The man of knowledge is neither happy nor miserable, neither detached nor attached, neither liberated nor seeking liberation. He is neither this nor that. Even while distracted, the blessed one is still. In meditation, he does not meditate. In ignorance, he remains clear. Though learned, he knows nothing. The liberated one who abides unconditionally in self, who is free of the concept of action and duty, who is always and everywhere the same, is desireless. He does not worry about what he did or did not do. The wise one is neither pleased by praise nor annoyed by blame. He neither rejects in life nor fears death. One of tranquil mind seeks neither crowds nor wilderness. He is the same wherever he goes.
Made it.
You made it. Peace and love. In remarks before we close down, we 6 months after. Oh yes, and that was peace, peace, and peace.
Peace.
That was the unity of life, the higher self and the lower self. As-salam, salam, Al-Sufian.
Yes.